Hello Tech Genius, I am Ravi. Have you ever imagined a place where learning is as dynamic as the technology shaping your world? Then here's a deal. With iMatix, you can make sure the learning is exciting, impactful right from the beginning. You have interactive sessions with expert-led courses. In the world of tech, from data science to cloud computing, it's not just about a session, it's about doing, building, learning by solving real problems. So let's get started. Today we will be talking about one of the important topics, which is relating to integrations. Just like any other platform, PEGA also enables us or supports exchange with other applications. When I build an application, I cannot be sure that the entire data lies only in that application. No, sometimes I might need to receive data from different sources. Sometimes I need to send data to different sources. The exchange of data could be mandatory. In order to have a good functioning of my application, I might need to exchange the data, of which the first one we will be talking about is services. How do you expose your PEGA application as a service? Let's assume some other external application is in need of your data. It will send you a request and you will give in all the data that is required. You will send it as a response. Service is something where you are providing the data. You have your business logic and you are trying to expose it to the external applications. Let's see how you can expose your PEGA application as a service. Here we will be talking about some new rule forms today. Again, the core of which is going to be the activities. But we will see how a service rule is created or what kind of service rules could be created. We will talk about all of those things. I think let's directly go ahead into the platform. Before that, I would like to show this. Look at this. I told we will be talking about some new rule forms today. Basically, what happens is your request is received. Probably the request could come from any other external application. The request is received, it is processed, and whatever the request parameters you have, for example, you should send the customer data as a response. What is required is the unique identifier for that customer. It could be a customer ID or something. The customer ID is received. That customer ID is mapped onto your application's clipboard. It is taken from the request and it is mapped onto your clipboard. Once the data is on the clipboard, I can manipulate it using the activity. We call it a service activity. The service activity will do all the required business logic, probably of retrieving information or gathering, manipulating whatever. And once your service activity is complete, my data is again on the clipboard. Now from this clipboard data, the data is moved into your response. What happens is you are taking from the requester, map it to the clipboard, perform your business logic, put it back on the clipboard, map it to your response. Taking the data, manipulating it and putting it back. This is what is happening. On this context, let us see how we will be able to create a service out of our PEGA application. Let's build a scenario. Maybe let's take a scenario like the one I just said. Maybe we will look at sharing some customer related information. Let's do this. I think I'll create a customer data type first, and you give me the customer ID and give you the customer record. My service is going to be that. You give the customer ID, I'll give you the customer record. Before that, let's create a data type for customer. Let me just go into records. I would like to configure the data. Let me read in the fields. I would like to have the CID, which is my customer ID. And that would be a text. And I might have first name, first name. Date of birth. For now, let it be a text. And you can have a lot more other fields, the risk value of the customer, the churn value, a lot of other things related to the customer. I think we'll have 8 of us. And CID is going to be the traffic key. I'm just prepping up the data. No unlocked rule set version again. What's with the version of the application? Are there no open rule sets? Let me give it to 2. This has got the database table. Then I've got my mapping rule, the pages, all of it is available. Let me add in some details here. And what is the logic that I'm looking at is you give me the customer ID, I'll give you the entire customer a record. This can be done using my activity. This is going to the core of your application. And now the ones that you create for your integration, be it your services or be it your other rules, they have to invoke this service activity. This is going to be the heart of it. Let me add in some records. I'm going to use my motor card. For example, this is my data, save it. Let's go ahead. Create a service activity. The service activity should take the input, the CID, and it should give me the entire record of the customer. That's what is expected. For that, let me create page properties because I have to retrieve a record. Let me create a page property for retrieving the record, and let me create a single value property for sending the input. Let me create a property. One is going to be a single value property for CID. And the CID is that we chose the type to be text, isn't it? We created CID as the text property. We are also, I let the same name be. I'm using the CID. This is on the case layer. I'll let it be a text. Let me see. And for retrieving, I would like this to be on a page property. Let me create. Customer data. I let it be customer data. And I'm going to retrieve one single record of the customer at a time. Data-custom. Now my input is going to be CID. My output is going to be customer data. Let us go ahead and create the activity which is doing this logic. I'm going to name it service activity. On the customer data, I created a single page property. This is the retrieving. Because I give you the CID, you have to give me the entire customer record. This is going to be a single page property. After that, the core logic is being put inside the activity. I've just created a new activity. You have to write anything. What should I do is, I should have, you give me the customer ID and I should give you the customer data. Which method would I use for it? Just like your regular. When you have a lot of records on the table, I want to pick one specific record. How you do that? You give me the unique identifier or a primary key of the record and I can open it for you. You would be using an objopen method. And when you use objopen, which page are you opening or what is the context that you see here? It is work recruitment. But I should open a record from customer data, not work recruitment, from here. For that, what would I do is I would use a step page for, to changing the context, isn't it? Let me go to pages and classes. Let me define my page. This class is going to be, and why is it data customer? Because I am going to open a record from data customer. Now I can go back. Now if you save it, what is the property name that you're seeing? You say data customer. Earlier it was work recruitment. Now once I change the context to data customer, I'm seeing these properties here. Give the CI. And what is this property? What should it be mapped with? This input the CID. Who is giving the CID? You are giving me the CID. It has to be coming from the end user. Let me put it as primary dot. What is the context? This work recruitment. This CID is coming from the case layer. That value is being mapped to the CID on the data line. To find that specific record now, let us save it. Why have we written primary dot? Primary is always representing your current scope, your work recruitment. On the case layer, when you have it on the clipboard, it is from your work recruitment class, isn't it? That's why we have given it as primary asset. Otherwise, the scope just becomes this. It is data customer. But I cannot refer something from the customer directly because I have to retrieve some information first. CID is being given to me. That's why we took it as primary dot your CID. You got this? Both are these, but this is coming from your case layer and that is being mapped onto the data layer to open the record. Let me save it. Now yes, I found the record OBJ. I'm pointing out to that specific record. I think that is just my service activity. You give me the CID, I'll give you the entire customer record. Now the entire customer data is available on my page. Let us see. Let me just save it. And on the case layer, I'll give you a CID. Some content first there. Let me put the CID here. This CID is ideally coming from the service request. But for now, in order to make sure the activity is working fine or not, I'm just adding one CID here. And one more thing in the meanwhile. Now my record of this CID, my entire data, where is it? My outcome of the service activity is where? It is on the step page, correct. It's on my page. Or wait, let us just finish this. We run this once. Now I'll try to run the activity. It will ask me for a CID definitely. CID here is the input. My output is on my page, which is a step page. Generally, step pages are considered temporary. They are like to change the context. They are more likely they are temporary. What we do is, come on, come on, come on. I think I'll just open more instance. Is it fun? I'd like to run this once. Maybe let's hold on to this for a moment. I'll just use this. Let's see if it is even retrieving any record or not. It says completed successfully. I can look at the clipboard. And on which page you will have, the data is my page. Let's look at my page. Here is my page, and yes, I see the record corresponding to CID. N1 is Virat Kohli, which means yes, my activity is fine. It is working as expected. Let me put it back to primary C. This currently on the primary C. I don't have any value. My page will be empty. Good. But my expectation was that the outcome should be on this single page property called customer data. What I would do is I would copy the data from my page onto my page property called customer data. For that, let me just add in a step. I would do a simple page copy. I'm copying data from my page onto employee data page property, or you're sorry, customer data page property. The current context is my page into. Where are you taking it? I want that to be part of customer data. Perfect. This I will put it back to CID. What is my activity doing? it is taking the CID value and it is giving me the data onto my page, and that we are copying it onto a property called customer data. That making sure everything is on the primary context, it's there on the clipboard. Yes, my activity is ready now. It is done, my service activity. Let's go ahead and we will create the service. And in order to create a service, we are doing a service REST now. And in order to create that, we have certain prerequisites. Let us see. I think first we'll go ahead. Create, we'll have it under the integration services. What are you going to create is a service REST. Now, once we look at this, we see there are certain prerequisites. Let's see what it is. You can give the service name, but something else is also asked. What is the service package? There is a service package that we can create which holds related services can be put under a single service package. Just like your package in Java, I have a service package. We create that first, and you will have it under the resources category because that's something that aids your services. Let me create a service package. I'll name it my package. This is your service package where you can decide. There are different processing modes here, stateless and stateful. Depending upon things like how you would like to authenticate your service package or how would you like to send the data across, depending upon multiple factors, we can decide this. For now, I'll let it be a stateless one. And in the authentication also we have got multiple options, basic OAuth and a lot of other things as well. Those are completely different aspects. I'll remove this authentication for now. And here comes your service access group. Are you looking at a specific access group who can run this service? If yes, you can give the access group who can run the service. I think I'll just go ahead and look at this access group. AS administrators. This means only people from this access group will be able to access the service. Now currently I don't have any service mesh method on this package because we have just created it. But once towards the session, what happens is end of the session, I will have one service REST created under the service package. This is what we are going to do now. What is my service package? Do I have my package? And what is the name of the service? As we are retrieving the customer, I think I'll name it get customer. Now you can have a version also associated with your service. This feature is something that's newly added from 8.1. Earlier there were no service versions. Now you can use something like this. Once you give the service name, package and the version, you can create a URI template. What is this U? It's a uniform resource identifier. We can build this looking at the parameters that you have on your template. Is it like, are you going to have some variables or static items? What are you going to have for build UI? Let me just. On the URI component, we have two things. One is a variable and another is a literal. Let me just use the literal here. I'm not going to have any variables on the service request. Instead, I'm going to use a literal called laldorabi Let me put it this way. I have created a URI template for a trip customer, and this is how the identifier looks like. And you don't have any applies to class for a service. This is operated on your entire rule set. Create and open. We'll see what happens. A new service REST rule would be created. Along with the service REST rule, there are a lot of other rules that are created. This is your resource. This decides the scope of where is your service activity. From this class is where your service activity is your invoked. What is the scope of your REST, from which your service activity is invoked? My service activity is under work-recruit. Let me use work-recruit. And then this is your service endpoint URL. You will have the package name, the version, and then the URI label that we have given. The unique identifier, that is your retrieve customer. All of this combined together has given you the endpoint URL for your application. Just put it here. Let me just put it there for now. Now I'm going to save it once. There are a lot of other processing options and we will see that. But first let's finish the major stuff. My scope is defined work-recruitment, but where should I define the activity? We can define it under the methods. REST service would support all these methods for me. You can retrieve data, you can update data, you can delete data, you can put insert. Multiple options are possible. But what is the context? Here is I'm retrieving data here. Depending upon the customer identifier, I am retrieving the customer record. Let me use the get method. What is the activity that you're going to use? Because this is the core. What is the activity? It's a service activity that I'm using. But you should tell the system what is the request and what is the response. Comes your query string. You don't need to bother about the headers and all for now. Just we need to look at the query string because the data that is coming in your request has to be mapped with the clipboard data. Remember, this is what we discussed. Step 2, what happens is I should map the request onto the clipboard. Onto the clipboard, as in is there a property for me on the clipboard which I can send to an activity? Yes, I have CID. My input data on my request data has to be mapped with the CID. Correct? Let me name the parameter here. I can name it anything because this is the one that comes as an input. You can. And where are you mapping it to? To the clipboard and any specific property that you have on the clipboard. Which value should I map it with? Any guesses? CID? Exactly. What are you doing is something that's externally coming from out of your application. You're mapping it to the clipboard and onto CID. From there, your service activity would run, it will open the record and it will put it in customer data. Input is, what about the output? I mean, the request is fine. What about the response? Where is your response? On what property do you have your response? On customer data. Exactly. Let me add map from. Where is it? It is on the clipboard on customer data. We did it for JSON. I have different types of responses. Let's JSON. Do you have any customer data? This is the outcome. Map from where? From the clipboard, and which property exactly? Customer data. My service REST is now ready. Just get customer. Request is what? The thing that you are mapping it onto the clipboard is from CID. From CID, your service activity would start because you're passing in the CID and it points out to the record. And then that is copied onto customer data. Then control comes back. And your response is mapped from your clipboard again. Let me save it. Let me just save this once again. Can I run this? Yes. Now you will be able to see the details here. What is being executed is this service REST. And the method you see it is get. And why do you get this query string values? Why do you see only CID here? Because of this. On the request, what I've mentioned is the CID. If I would have mentioned it as customer identifier, I will see that when I run it, for example, customer, this is my query string parameter. Now that is being mapped to the CID. And it's not necessary that they should have the same naming conventions. What do I see? I see the customer identifier. Which should I give? A given to. Let's see if it executes. Into is corresponding to whom? I think Sachin Tendulkar. The mapping initializing of primary data was successful. Mapping of inbound data was good. Invoking service activity was good. Mapping outbound data was good. And what do you see? Record to related to Sachin. Yes, first name. First name Sachin. Last name Tendulkar. And rest of all the fields regarding the create operator date time. rest of the default fields are available. Along with that, yes, I see age. Can I say using my service REST, I gave an input and accordingly I've got the entire record as an output. Is this clear? Were we able to retrieve an entire record of customer data using a service REST? Now if I go back, look at my service package. I would like to refresh this. Now I see. You see, a method called service REST is invoked and this is mine. You see this? This is the package. This is the service request that is associated with this package. Likewise, all related services as we talked about recruitment onboarding, resignation. Related service requests can go under one single service package. When you look at the App Explorer, where is this created? Can I see any class structure for it? Where is this created? You don't see? It's not part of a specific class, but you get to see it within the specific set. Look at this meeting. Under the services, the service REST rule is created respect to the rule set HRs and with version 02.01.01. This is your service. And if we are very specific, that ideally the integration rules should be created under the integration rule set. If you think yes, that's a good option maybe. Yes, we can go ahead and create a service REST directly under the HRS int rules set. We can even change that as well. You can change the context and you can have it as a part of the HRS int rules set. Why am I not seeing it currently is because of your operator. It depends, like where you are going to create, that is up to the organization. The reusability, sharing, all those things. Can you go back to my package? The side one. You like the good one. The package one here. We are seeing in the methods, we are seeing in the resource part, it is retrieve customer, which was the name of our URL. Correct. If you are in the resource part, why you are coming in? Because we created it under, I think, my package. Or I forgot service REST. This one you're asking? Things are there. One is the endpoint URL, which is different. This is going to be different, whereas your URL template is different. If you observe the name of the service, the rest is get customer, whereas the name of the URL template is retrieve customer. They are like two different things. And in the PEGA context, URL template is what we would be considering. That's why you see in most of the packages you will only see the resource part, not the actual name of the service. You don't see get customer, instead you see retrieve customer here. But if you open it again, it will point to the service REST. The most unique identifier is your URL. And that's why even in the packages also you see the same thing. You open any package, you will be able to see that service package, BP version. Let's see this. There are some SOAP services here and something like you see the SOAP name is when for SOAP, you don't see any URLs that get BRPC. It is taking it from here for the SOAP service. You don't see any URL. Is there something from REST? I mean, in fact, you can give the same name to your URL and to the service also. Just that, to make sure they are unique, we give different names for it. See, for most of it, see this here? Service REST name is data objects, whereas URL template is data underscore objects. Generally, it's more like just giving it a unique identifier kind of a thing. Nothing more than this. I mean, try doing this once again, probably a lot more clear. For 1 or 2 times, and then I think it should be easy. Just that the process is a little longer, but content is not that hard. Just that you have to make sure you're mapping it to the entities, that's all. Where is it being mapped to and where is the response being mapped from? These are two very important aspects. Then thank you, have a good day. If you like this video, please like, share and subscribe to our YouTube channel.